Next on Currents News, the New York Archdiocese is publishing a comprehensive list of clergy who have been credibly accused of sexual abuse of a minor.
It's a legitimate question to ask about my age.
Joe Biden on The View TV show today in New York, the day after he announced he's running for president.
1, 2, 3, 4.
A hero Catholic is honored at his Brooklyn parish. He was the first black FBI agent killed in the line of duty. Plus, a special report on a Catholic couple who thought they'd never have a baby. How faith and church teaching helped them through. The news starts right now. Good evening, I'm Emily Druby. Liz Faublas is off. The Archdiocese of New York today released the names of clergy credibly associated with sexually abusing a minor. There are 120 names on the list. None are in active ministry. The move comes as many other dioceses across the country have released similar lists. Cardinal Timothy Dolan announced the news on his Facebook page and in an online pastoral letter to the family of the New York Archdiocese. He wrote, "After hearing from many of you, including many victim survivors, I have decided today to publish a comprehensive list of Archdiocesan clergy who have been credibly accused of sexual abuse of a minor, or who were the subject of a claim found to be eligible for compensation made to the Archdiocese Independent Reconciliation and Compensation Program. Please be assured there is not a single priest or deacon of the Archdiocese of New York against whom there has been a credible and substantiated claim of abuse against a minor currently in ministry." The Archdiocese described how clergy were identified as credibly accused. The Archdiocesan Review Board found the allegation to be credible and substantiated. The accused was laicized or removed from ministry because of the allegation. The accused admitted the allegation. The accused was convicted of a crime in connection with the allegation. The Archdiocese put out a chart of the years of ordination for clergy who were credibly accused of sexual abuse of a minor. The peaks occurred in the 1950s and 60s with about 5 dozen ordinations. A second graph shows the years in which alleged sexual abuse of a minor by Archdiocesan clergy occurred. The numbers were largest in the 1970s, 80s, and 90s. The Cardinal's entire pastoral letter is available to read at archny.org/letter. The clergy list is at archny.org/list. The Diocese of Brooklyn released its list of credibly accused clergy in February. The total of 108 names span the 166-year history of the diocese. Most of the accused are deceased. Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio said when the list was published that he had met with many victim survivors who told him they wanted an acknowledgement of what was done to them. Diocese of Brooklyn's website has a special section where people can access all the information. It includes the clergy list as well as videos and resources. Go to dioceseofbrooklyn.org and on the homepage, click on Clergy Sex Abuse Crisis Response. The Brooklyn Diocese also has a toll-free confidential sexual abuse reporting line. That number is 888-634-4499. Raids and gunfights are being reported at many locations in Sri Lanka as police crack down on terror cells in the wake of the Easter Sunday church bombings. A military spokesman is saying soldiers have clashed with suspects in the eastern part of the country, about 200 miles from the capital, Colombo. No word yet on the casualties in the firefights. Here at home, a special honor for a Catholic hero, an FBI agent cut down in the line of duty. The street near his Brooklyn parish has a new name.
1, 2, 3, 4.
This street sign forever memorializing FBI Special Agent Edwin R. Woodruff, a hero from the Brooklyn Diocese. In 1969, Woodruff was shot and killed while on the job. He was the first African-American FBI agent murdered in the line of duty. He was only 27 when he died.
We have finally made it here to this day.
His daughter, Leanne Woodruff, wanted her father to be honored in his Brooklyn neighborhood, the place, she says, he always hoped to come back to. Choosing Jefferson Avenue because it's where St. Peter Claver Church is, a place that held a special spot in her father's heart.
This church here is where he was an altar boy. He went to school right here. He was married here. His firstborn was baptized here. His funeral was here. He was eulogized here. So I said, this is the fitting corner. This is the street out of any other place in New York.
Getting a street named after someone is not easy. In addition to government red tape, the Woodruffs also faced criticism from supporters of Brooklyn radical activist DiMarzio. He's been accused of being anti-Catholic. But after 2.5 years of hard work and patience, Leanne Woodruff's dreams finally became a reality.
They say that the things most worth it are not always the easiest to achieve.
Father Alonzo Cox, the pastor of St. Peter Claver, Brooklyn's first African-American Catholic church, and Auxiliary Bishop James Massa attending the unveiling ceremony, both expressing great respect for Woodruff.
Well, this is a day really to hold up a great New Yorker and a member of our Catholic community.
The Woodruff family considers this place their home, so it's really such a beautiful day.
Many I spoke with at the unveiling say Special Agent Woodruff's story and accomplishments inspired them to be better people and hope it will do so for others. Former New York City firefighter Christopher Slutman was finally laid to rest today. The U.S. Marine Staff Sergeant was among 3 Marines killed by a roadside bomb in Afghanistan earlier this month. A solemn procession was held from the Bronx to St. Thomas Episcopal Church in Manhattan. The 43-year-old is survived by his wife and 3 daughters. Former Vice President Joe Biden was in New York City today, the day after announcing his bid for the presidency. He appeared on ABC The View this morning, where he spoke about how his late son Beau impacted his decision to run. He also addressed concerns over his age.
It's a legitimate question to ask about my age. And the same question was asked to me, was I old enough when I got elected at age 29 before I was, old enough to serve? It's a question whether or not, hopefully I can demonstrate not only with age has come wisdom and experience that can make things a lot better. When I get up in the morning, I think about, I hope he's proud of me. I hope he's proud.
The former vice president also addressed criticism from Anita Hill on how he handled her sexual harassment allegations against Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. Biden said Anita Hill is one of the reasons why the Me Too movement exists today. President Trump spoke at the annual NRA meeting today. Before that, he weighed in on Joe Biden and the Catholic Democrats' attack on the president for his response to the 2017 racial violence in Charlottesville, Virginia, plus what Trump thought about his potential opponent.
How do you beat Joe Biden? I think we beat him easily. You look at what I said, you will see that that question was answered perfectly. And I was talking about people that went because they felt very strongly about the monument to Robert E. Lee, a great general. Whether you like it or not, he was one of the great generals.
Trump clarified that he would never say anyone is too old to run for president. Stay right here. Immediately following Currents News, Net TV will switch live to the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception in Washington, D.C. A special benefit concert for the rebuilding of Notre Dame will be performed starting at 7 p.m. The event is being called Together with Notre Dame de Paris. It's focused on raising money for the world-famous Catholic landmark after it caught fire last week. The live special on Net TV right after Currents News. There's a lot more news headed your way. A Currents News special report. A Catholic couple who feared they'd never have a baby and what happened to change the story. Bishop DiMarzio is moments away for his weekly segment tonight. He talks about plans for new Catholics and how Pope Francis said hello to a group of deaf people. A federal judge has blocked the Trump administration's new restrictions on abortions. Under the administration's rules, clinics like Planned Parenthood would have lost federal funding if they referred patients to abortion clinics. The judge has stopped that nationwide, at least temporarily. About 1 in 10 couples will go through infertility when trying to have children. Across the United States, many are using this week to promote National Infertility Awareness in an effort to help those who are struggling to realize they are not not alone. One Catholic family opened up to Currents News' Michelle Powers about the emotional journey they went on with the dream to expand their family.
With an infant, a toddler, and a preteen, Maria Heyer is on non-stop mommy patrol. All right, buddy.
Just within the Italian community, you know, before you're married, when you get married, when you get married, when you're having a baby, when you have a baby, when you're having the next baby.
But it wasn't always this way. This house used to be quiet.
Just like you look to blame yourself, you look to blame your spouse, you also look to blame God.
After their firstborn,
Maria Teresa,
the Heyers spent years unable to conceive again. Their dreams of having a big family with memories to fill a mantle were falling apart. They turned to doctor after doctor.
I'd be on the 6 train going up to Lenox Hill and wanting to turn around and just go home and just like give up.
Maria, a devout Catholic, refused treatments that were supposed to guarantee a pregnancy, like hormone injections and in vitro fertilization. Doctors told her that was her only option. Desperate for the family of their dreams, the Heyers even went to the Bishop of Brooklyn for advice. He gave them a third-class relic of St. Gerard Majella, the patron saint of expectant mothers and unborn children. He told them to place it under their bed, but that didn't seem to work either. After nearly 6 years, the Heyers were giving up.
You wind up starting to say, well, is it me? And then when you get through the part of accepting whether or not it's me or not, then you also look and say, well, is it you?
Then someone told them about a Catholic alternative.
The job of any doctor is to figure out what's causing the symptoms. And infertility is a symptom. It's a sign that something's going wrong.
Dr. Paul Carpentier is the medical director at the Gianna Center, a small Catholic health center that specializes in women's health and fertility.
She must be happy that this is better.
He's one of the first family physicians trained in something called NAPRO technology, a natural medical approach to treating women's reproductive disorders.
They went step by step to diagnose what could have been preventing any kind of fertility, as opposed to just trying to, get her pregnant.
NAPRO technology is a restorative reproductive medicine, meaning it's based on figuring out what's wrong through tests and studies and fixing it.
And what's wrong is not necessarily revealed in tests, although those are very important. Revealed in surgery, that's very important, but it's also revealed in listening.
Catholic Health Services allows on average 1 hour with patients. Currently, most doctors only see their patients for 7 minutes.
And you can't figure these things out in 7 minutes.
Infertility is common in the United States. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, about 10 in 100 women have difficulty becoming pregnant or staying pregnant. Through simple blood tests and talks, Maria found out she had endometriosis. Soon after her surgery, she and John had an announcement to make. A miracle, a beautiful, healthy baby. Maria credits NAPRO technology. The success rate is the same as IVF, but the prematurity rate is 6-fold less. Dr. Carpentier says they're saving 1 embryo at a time.
Each embryo is a person. And so if you have a person on board, it's like you want to take great care of that. You don't want to subject it to unnecessary risks.
Less than a year after their second born, the Heyers gave birth to another baby. He was born on the feast day of St. Gerard Majella.
I really believe that if you have faith, you don't believe in coincidences, you believe in miracles and providence, and that things happen for a reason. Who's that?
The Heyers think that one day they might give the relic to another couple who just might need a little faith. Michelle Powers, Currents News.
At Easter, a lot of new Catholics in Brooklyn and Queens were welcomed into the church. One program played a big role in making that happen. Bishop DiMarzio talks about that with Ed Wilkinson. Ed?
Today we're going to talk with Bishop DiMarzio about the many Catholics who just entered into the church at Easter Vigil this year. Bishop, all across the diocese, new Catholics were baptized into the faith. And some people, we always hear about people leaving the church, but here in this diocese we've got over 1,000 people each year coming in at different places in the church. What does that mean to you?
Well, it's a symbol of hope, obviously. It means that people do believe, that people are attracted to the truth that the church holds out to them, that they see that Christ is present within the church. So that's a great experience.
Yeah. And I know over the years you've gone to parishes and you've done up to like 60 baptisms and first communions and confirmations. What is that experience like for you to see all that?
Well, again, it's kind of overwhelming, you know, because you see all of these people. They come and they want the faith, and in numbers. Even if it's one or two, it's moving. But when you have such a big group, it's even more emotionally moving for them and for the people who are serving them.
Yeah, many of the people who are asking for baptism at Easter time come from our immigrant communities, new people to the diocese, particularly, I guess, in the most recent years, a lot of Asians coming, right? Chinese and Koreans. What does that say to us about Brooklyn as the diocese of immigrants?
Well, again, it says that immigrants are open to the faith. It's an interesting phenomenon, migration. People, when they migrate, either they find faith or they lose faith completely. It's an either-or of situation. People who even were baptized, sometimes they lose their faith and they get disoriented and it doesn't make sense to them in a particular culture. But here in our diocese, they're welcoming communities that actually recruit people to be baptized. So the Chinese especially, and the Koreans, and other groups too, and others who are just native as Americans that are here, born here, for many reasons come. Again, as the baptisms themselves are over almost 500 this year, which is larger than many dioceses. And then the others who are completing their initiation, maybe they were baptized and never received community confirmation, they also are part of it. So it's a time of great renewal and celebration in the diocese.
Officially, this program by which they come into the church is called the Rite of Christian Initiation for Adults, so we call it RCIA.
Right.
What do you think of that? As it's a fairly new phenomenon to our church. Yeah. But it's kind of almost like a throwback to the old church, isn't it?
Well, it is. It goes back to the rites that were used in the early church of bringing people in gradually over time. Many times in the early church, it was years before someone was admitted into the church. They had to go through a lot of scrutinies. Now, we in our diocese have lengthened the program. It used to be like a year program. Now it's 2 years. We're asking them to go into training and study. And the last year, they would then participate during Lent in the ceremonies that lead up to the Easter Vigil, the scrutinies, and then the Easter Vigil itself. So we're trying to make the program a little bit more intense, so we're sure that people really want to be baptized and that they will continue their commitments.
Yeah.
Because we found out in the past that sometimes people, they went through it was too fast, and they fall away. So that is a problem. So we're making sure now that we're more careful.
So we have a follow-up program. How do we stay in touch?
There is a follow-up program. It's part of the early church. They called it mystagogia, which was kind of a follow-up to baptism. We have that in the diocese and also in the individual parishes. What happens too, when they're being catechized, when they're catechumens, they feel very special and important. They have the team of the parish working with them, and all of a sudden they get baptized, and then they're like everybody else, constantly deflating. Yeah. And that's where we have to make sure that people still see themselves as important. And many of them go on to be tremendous, with tremendous involvement in the church. Sure. And some do just fall away because they become like everybody else, it's just abused. So it's hard to understand that, but we're trying to understand it better so we can make sure that conversions are real and that they're lasting.
Thank you, Bishop DiMarzio and Ed, and a warm welcome to all the new Catholics. The Brooklyn Diocese Annual Mass of Hope and Healing is being celebrated next Tuesday. Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio will preside at the liturgy that is planned by sexual abuse survivors for abuse survivors. The Mass will be held on Tuesday, April 30th at St. Athanasius Church in Bensonhurst. It will be televised live on Net TV at 7 p.m. Because of Tuesday's Mass, Currents News will air at a special time at 6:30. Pope Francis is calling upon all institutions to overcome prejudice towards the deaf. During a meeting at the Vatican, the Holy Father greeted the deaf people, reminding them that they are a gift in the Church and have an important role to bringing the Word of God to the rest of the world. Still to come on Currents News, the rise of a phenomena in France following the tragic fire at Notre Dame, and it's about the Catholic faith. This special benefit concert tonight for the Catholic icon Notre Dame Cathedral, you don't want to miss it. And the tablet has a brand new page called Archdiocesan Family, where you can share your pictures of recent baptisms, Holy Communions, confirmations, marriage, all of the joyous sacraments. For more details and to submit your photos, go to thetablet.org/Archdiocesan-family. Your picture may be published in an upcoming issue of the newspaper. We'll be right back. The investigation of the Notre Dame Inferno is now converging around two theories about the fire's cause. Now that police are being allowed into the building, they're looking at a short circuit near the cathedral's spire, possibly caused by electrified bells, and possible worker negligence in carrying out renovations. Authorities believe the investigation could last several weeks. Currents News' Michelle Powers was in Paris last week covering the Notre Dame disaster. She also reported on the faith in France, where a majority identify as Catholic, but few go to Mass. She filed this report on the phenomena of zombie Catholicism.
The Diocese of Nanterre is less than 10 miles from Notre Dame, so close the land used to be part of the Archdiocese of Paris.
Notre Dame is the beginning of all the measures of distance in France, and that's a very impressive symbol. It means Notre Dame is really the center of our country.
Bishop Matthew Roge says the cathedral is mile zero. It's how the French measure distances all over the country. But it's more than just that. It's their history. And through the grace of flames and the way of the cross, some are rediscovering it this Good Friday.
I'm very prudish about what I feel in all aspects, but I think there is a different sense today.
I have seen a lot of people praying at this time, not only for Notre Dame, I think, but for the Church in general.
Once among the most Catholic countries in the world, sometimes called the eldest daughter of the Church, in recent years France has seen a serious decline in church-going numbers.
In France, you live in France, you are in some way related to Catholic Church, but many ignore it.
Bishop Roche speculates that the Notre Dame fire just may ignite a spiritual reawakening of sorts.
This type of event, a reawakening, a spiritual reawakening, is a long adventure.
One that might already be underway across secular France. Among the modern cityscapes, today there are thousands following Jesus to his death. Sociologists in the country call the phenomena the rise of zombie Catholics, people who do not attend church, but voters who turn out in droves to support leaders backing Catholic social teachings. The sociologists who coined the term say it's Catholicism having attained a life after death in France, and no one is quite sure just where it will go.
I think that this could help to make them come out easier about their feelings.
As the Way of the Cross made its way around the Diocese of Nanterre, more people joined in, the crowd growing in size at every station. Possible so-called zombies finding their way back spiritually.
All the people who have been moved by Notre Dame and want to meet other believers or be with other people to share some sort of event.
A resurrection just in time for Easter. In Paris, Michelle Powers, Currents News.
And don't forget, a special benefit concert for the rebuilding of Notre Dame Cathedral is coming up next on Net TV. The event is being called Together with Notre Dame de Paris. It will be televised live from the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception in Washington, D.C. You don't want to miss it right here on Net TV. That is Currents News. I'm Emily Drewby. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.